When 35-year-old Elmer Duarte left Honduras 3 weeks ago, he was dreaming of getting to the United States, finding a job and sending money back home. But on his northbound train in Mexico, 5 men beat him, robbed all his cash, and threw him off the moving train.
I thought I was going to die. I was unconscious when some guys picked me up and took me to an ambulance.
His is a too familiar story along northbound migrant routes where kidnappings, torture, rape and murder are a constant threat to the thousands of desperate poor Central Americans and Mexicans making their way to the United States. Amnesty International says the migrants face a number of threats.
We've seen that municipal police and state police particularly are prone to participating with criminal gangs in these operations, mass kidnappings, 100 people at a time, sometimes, where women are raped and sexual violence is used to intimidate people, extort money from them and submit people to a really horrific experience, which often leaves them so terrified they try and either hand themselves into the migration authorities or try and get back to their own countries in real despair.
Amnesty says Mexico's National Human Rights Commission estimates about 10,000 migrants were abducted in a 6-month period last year. And many are children and teenagers, like 16-year-old Sergio Morales from Guatemala, who was held against his will for months before managing to escape.
I was forced to work for 6 months. In the end, they didn't pay me and threatened to turn me into the customs authorities.
The Mexican government says it has tried to tackle the problem by issuing temporary visas to allow migrants to stay in Mexico until their immigration status is defined. And by funding an aid group called Beta, they assist migrants along the border and also try to discourage them from doing the trip.
Although they face many dangers, migrants say they are determined to risk their lives along these tracks. And many say they are heading towards Arizona despite the new immigration law.
8 long days ago, 41-year-old Dolores Parada left El Salvador. He says he will do whatever it takes to cross the desert to get to Arizona, risking all along the way.
The laws there are too rigid, but if we are walking to get to the U.S. looking for support, it's because we have no jobs back home.
Despite the dangers, nothing seems to deter these poor Mexicans and Central Americans from trying to escape poverty. Elmer says he's going back to Honduras, but only until he recovers. Once his wounds are healed, he says he will try to cross into the U.S. again, a journey that Amnesty International calls the most dangerous in the world. Mariana Sanchez, Jazeera, Mexico City.